Guys, welcome back to the channel. It is me, your girl Baz B. I know I've been gone for a minute, but I am back and I have a new show for us to sit and review and kiki about. And it is the second season of Them, titled The Scare. Now, I know you're hearing second season like, girl, we don't even know what happened on the first season, but don't you worry because this is an anthology. So, meaning the story does not have anything to do with last season, so we can come off here fresh and new. And I just want to warn you guys that this is a review, so I will be giving spoilers. So if you have not seen the show and you're very interested, then I would suggest you go watch it first. But if you would love to hear my commentary on it first and then go watch it, I would love that too. But either way, make sure you come back here and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into the video. The show opens up with a black screen with a quote from Aristotle that says, "Fear is pain arising from the anticipation of evil." That follows into a scene where a man in some type of warehouse full of half-built animatronics, a birthday cake in front of him, and a burlap sack on his head. Once he comes back to his senses, he cries out in fear as the animatronic sings a song that sounds like it belongs to a kid's show. Next, we see a gloved hand reach out and touch the unidentified man's head. The hand grabs the bag off his head, and before we can see who the capture is, the screen switches to the title screen. The setting for the show is Los Angeles in 1991. Our main character, Detective Don Reeves, waking up to the news report on the infamous Rodney King patrol stop playing on the morning news. A look of dread overcoming her face. She gets ready and finds a birthday cake in the fridge. Right as she sticks her hand in to get a swipe of the icing, we hear her mom, Athena, telling her to get out of the fridge. She wishes her a happy birthday and that her father would be so proud of her if he was there. The beeper on the table buzzes off with the urgent reading across the screen. She grabs her keys from the table with her father's police photo on it and heads out the door. She shows up to the crime scene and begins to take notes into a handheld recorder. The crime scene is located at a single-family home located in a residential neighborhood. She meets up with her partner, Rhonda McKinney, who asks if she had a long night since she was late. She says, "Yeah, because you're an asshole." The interaction sets the vibe that she does not care too much for him. They step to an officer who tells them that the victim inside is the elderly foster mother, Miss Bernice. They got the call around 6 that morning from 16-year-old foster child Malcolm. Detective McKinney asks where is Malcolm now, and the cops let him know that he is down at the station to be questioned for material. McKinney makes the statement, "for now," showing that he already suspects Malcolm is the one behind the crime. Reeves asks about the rest of the children and is informed that they are all in the custody of Children's Services. While walking up to the house, the detectives see a police officer on the side of the house throwing up, sickened by the sight that he saw in the house. They enter the house and the lights are not working because of a tripped fuse. Reeves takes more notes on her recorder of the scene. She realizes that there was no forced entry into the house. You see signs of struggle throughout the front room of the house. The heat in the house becoming unbearable. An officer tells her it was worse. When they came in, the thermostat was turned up to 90 degrees. She comes across a cracked clock and the time is stopped at 3:15. They continue throughout the home observing the crime scene. They follow a line of extension cords to a room. This is where the officers say they found all the kids in. We see a bunch of TVs and radios stacked on top of each other, explaining the long line of extension cords. Reeve notices the closet door is cracked and she goes over to investigate. When she opens the door, she is sickened by the sight in the closet. It was filled with broken toys and dirty diapers. There's a small square space in the corner with scratches on the floor, making her believe that someone or something was living inside that closet and has been moved. The heat and smell coming from the closet becoming more unbearable for her as she becomes sick. One of the detectives grabs her and tells her she got to see this. They make their way down the hall to the kitchen, cleaning products lining the halls. The kitchen floor is covered in what appears to be candy wrappers. Detectives are shocked by the scene that is in front of them. They find Miss Bernice stuffed under the kitchen sink. her body broken and contorted and her face frozen into a scream. Come up on the next scene, seeing the back of a man sitting in a locker room listening to a self-help audio tape about overcoming fear. Return to the front to find Edmund as he takes the headphones off. He takes a deep breath and continues to recite the words of the tape as he must have listened to this tape multiple times before. We face the back of him again as he puts on a pig-shaped mask. He starts to walk down a long hallway and stops at a red curtain. He listens to the announcer on the loudspeaker, waiting for his cue to walk through those curtains. As he hears his cue, he bursts out and greets the crowd and begins to dance to the upbeat music. The crowd of young children and adults, seemingly to be in what looks like a knockoff Chuck E. Cheese, is very excited to see him, and even one kid gets up and starts to dance with him. While the crowd enjoys the show, we see the manager with an unpleased look on his face. Edmund retreats to a room, proud of his performance he just did, but his smile quickly fades when the manager comes in to berate him for the scene he just put on. Edmund defends his actions, saying that how much the crowd really enjoyed his show, but the manager points out the liability that could have happened if someone would have gotten hurt. Edmund informs him of an acting audition he had coming up, and his boss was not supportive at all. Reeves pulls up to the police station and finds a small crowd of protesters outside the building fighting for Rodney King's rights. Inside the station, we see the chief of police doing a press conference trying to clear up the misfortunes of the traffic stop and calling it human error. Two white officers disagreeing and saying, no, that was a beast, referring to Rodney King. Reggie Marks overhears the two officers and makes his way over. He mocks them over their ridiculous statement with racial undertones, catching the two officers off guard. He then walks up behind Reeves and she tells him he needs to step back. He responds in a flirty manner, "Cuff me," before she walks off. Reeves spots Lieutenant Schiff as he headed to his office and took the opportunity to ask to take over the case on Miss Bernice. He tells her that she has the case, but she will be partnered with McKinney, which she is not happy about because he closes cases too quickly. Schiff warns her of her misconduct on the last case she was given, and even though she is a hard worker, she needs someone more level-headed to work with her. Reeves and McKinney is in the interrogation room with Malcolm to find out what he knew about that night. McKinney starts off real caring, saying how he's sorry for his loss, but his demeanor quickly changes as he turns into the bad cop and insinuates that Malcolm had something to do with the murder. He speaks on the multiple calls he had out to that home when he was a patrol officer and how Miss Bernice was not being a very good person to those kids. He says, "You was only 3 back then, but now you are really big and don't have to take the abuse." Malcolm becomes more and more uncomfortable, and each crack of McKinney's knuckles and neck seems to evoke fear in Malcolm. Malcolm screams out, "Who cares? She's dead now." McKinney slaps this photo of Miss Bernice on this table, yelling for Malcolm to face what he believes was done by him. Reeves, seeing how upset Malcolm is getting and the route that McKinney is taking, intercepts the interrogation and asks Malcolm would he like a lawyer to be present during the questioning, and Malcolm says yes, which ends the conversation. Edmund is at his audition for the part gang member Pookie, and let's just say Edmund is not doing well at all. He is giving Malibu Most Wanted with his acting skills. The casting director gives him direction and tells him to try again. He gives it one more try, but failing, and gets snickers and side eyes from the casting team. Edmund walks down the hall of gang dress potentials with a look of defeat on his face. As he was about to walk out the door, he hears a pleasant voice ask, "How did it go?" It's the receptionist who has seen Edmund audition for a few times. Edmund says the role was just not for him, but hopefully the next one will be. She encourages him to keep trying because those are the ones who become successful in this. Edmund reaches into his pocket and pulls out a few game tokens from his job for her son. She was surprised that he even remembered that detail of her life, and he bashfully says that he remembers everything. He offers for them to stop by the arcade, and he will hook them up with pizza and soda, and she accepts. Edmund sits in the car outside the audition building staring blankly. We see it go from day to night and Edmund is still sitting there. The receptionist and the guy who was in the casting room exits the building and shares a friendly embrace before she leaves. Edmund stares at the guy with pure jealousy as he says under his breath, "If you fuck with me, I will fuck you up." Dang, Edmund, if you would have said that line like that at the audition, you probably would have got it. Reeves makes it home after a long day at work. She notices a small dent in the back of her mother's car. She goes to the garage where her son Kelvin, aka Kel, is practicing on his drum set. She flicks the light as a signal for him to wrap it up, and he says he will be in a minute. She walks in the kitchen to see her mom preparing her birthday dinner. She questions her about the car, but Athena deflects and hands her the mail. In the small stack is a birthday card from Reeves' ex-husband. She asks if Kel has seen it, and after getting the answer no, she throws the card in the trash. She questions again about the card, and Athena simply says everyone is okay and she don't need to worry about that. At dinner, Reeves is gifted with a picture of her when she was young putting together a puzzle. Her mother says, even as a child, you was always trying to solve things. The camera pans to the kitchen, this eerie music playing as we see the motion sensor lights on the garage flicker on and off, then crash into the ground. Edmund is staring off in space as he hears a familiar voice call his name. It's the receptionist and her son walking up. She lets him know that her son is really shy right now, and Edmund knew exactly what to do to break the ice and get the kid to smile. She compliments him on how well he is with children, something her ex-husband was not good at. Edmund says that's the reason he wants to be an actor, but he must not be good at it since he haven't landed a role after all this time. She tells him that the problem is the roles out there for black male actors are only based off of gang members and drug dealers, and that he doesn't fit. She tells him that she gets a bunch of scripts come across her desk, and if she sees one that she thinks will be a great fit for him, she will let him know. He becomes excited over this kind gesture, and they both exchange numbers. Reeves shows up to Child Protective Services to speak to one of the children from the house. She asked the social worker how many times had they had calls out to that house. The worker did not know, but provided her with a number to call to get that information. She enters the communal living space and sits with the girl. After getting her to warm up to her, the little girl asks, does she have to return to that house? Which Reeves assures her that she will never have to go back to. And the little girl is relieved about that because Miss Bernice was very mean. Reeves asks what happened that night. The little girl says that Miss Bernice was scared of him and wouldn't let them go to sleep. The young girl says she didn't know who she was talking about. We get a flashback of Miss Bernice in the house with all the TVs and radios blasting in that room she had them held up in. She is holding the children, rocking back and forth, screaming, "He's in the house!" The little girl jolts out of her sleep and realizes that Miss Bernice is no longer in the bed. She hears her screams and bones cracking from the kitchen. We'll come back to present day with Reeves rocking the frightened girl with a look of fear on her face from the details of the story. Back at the house, we see Athena chopping carrots for the night's dinner. She hears the scream let out and she jumps from fright. She calls out for Kel, but gets no answer. Kel is in the garage practicing and the lights flicker. Kel says he will be in a minute, thinking that's one of them signaling him to come in. But when the camera pans to the door, no one is there. We get a scene jump to Edmund as he opens a trunk in his bedroom closet and pulls out a Raggedy Ann doll. Reeves finally makes it home after another long day. After checking on her family, she makes her way to the kitchen to study over her notes so far on the case. She clears out the bottom of the kitchen sink and recreates the scene of the crime. While listening to the tape she recorded at the scene of the crime, she hears some kind of disturbance on the tape. She keeps rewinding and playing the tape over and over, trying to catch what she is hearing. Finally, an eerie man's voice says, "Are you scared?" She jumps and throws a recorder across the room. And that is the end of episode 1. Well, guys, I hope you loved the review. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back with episode 2. This season only has 8 episodes, but I have gotten up to, I want to say, episode 4, and guys, I'm hooked. This is really good. So don't forget to stick around, subscribe so that you get the notification that I have posted a new video, and until next time, bye, guys.